I made tons of fantasy-themed characters, some of them using parts from the newest wave of Lego collectible minifigures. The most obvious source for medieval customization would be the Wolfpack Beastmaster. He has incredibly useful dual-molded parts and detailed printing, but I urge you to not sleep on the Pirate Quartermaster, because she's got great potential as well, and can even be turned into a badass character. So in this video, I'll be showing you some ideas I came up with, as well as some additional fantasy figures I'd like to share. So, without anything else to say, let's go. So what can we make using the Pirate Quartermaster? Well, with the legs alone, you can create a powerful warlock, paired with a black cape and collar, and heavily inspired by Doctor Strange. Alternatively, by popping the head, adding a beard and a top-knot hairpiece, we can create a more classic wizards wielding powerful magic. Another great element of value is this red cloth piece the character comes with. Seeing that it comes in red, I will use this samurai helmet. Find a head print that will complement it. And now, we can assemble a cool samurai. Although very simple, I think the cloth elements like the scarf and the robes make it greatly stand out. I still wanted to make use of this unique hair mold, so I assembled a badass warrior using a torso from Ninjago and black shoulder pads. As an accessory, she'll have an ORC blade. I was able to assemble 3 unique and diverse characters, giving her lots of value in my opinion. It's safe to say that everyone's favorite is the Wolfpack Warrior, so let's add another member to his faction. I actually found a torso that has the exact Wolfpack emblem printed on the back. I'll be using Basil the Bat Lord's arms and legs that perfectly complement the torso. So let's add a gray cape and hood and use the Barbarian's face print that also has gray face paint. As a weapon, I gave her some of these hooked blades, since they sort of resemble claws of some sort, creating a Wolfpack robe. I absolutely love how this figure turned out, and pairs amazingly with the CMF version. Let's take a look at some other fantasy characters I came up with. This next one is an Elven Hunter armed with a crossbow. I used these really detailed legs with straps and buckles printed on them, and I ended up painting the ears of this hairpiece so I can use them with flesh-tone heads. I picked a face print that resembles an elf with the high cheek, bones, and seemingly slim face. I'm not too sure where this torso comes from. Maybe someone can let me know on the comments. I made a couple paladins that turned out quite neat, so let's check them out next. This first one is a Dwarf Paladin, equipped with large shoulder armor on one side, a shield, and a giant bone-breaking hammer. Big beards are a staple for dwarfs, so I had to include it, and was lucky enough to find some silver short legs in my collection. Now, I really need your input for this next one. Did I cook? Or is it
the biggest piece of dog shit?
I really wanted to make use of these legs in my collection, but I was having trouble finding some matching components to complement them. I can't even decide whether it looks better as a male or a female. Maybe instead of a paladin, the high-ranking angelic guard of some sort. Anyway, moving on to my absolute favorite character in this showcase, the Lionist Warrior. I started by using these legs, torso, and armor from the early 2000s castle theme. The tail and headpiece are from DCU Cheetah, and the hair is from Marvel's Sylvie. To match her armor, she'll be wielding a brick-built axe and a golden shield. I love being able to implement variety and distinction to my fantasy characters, and she's the perfect example of that. Not to mention, she turned out super great. Reinhardt's helmet would pair perfectly with the Dragonborn Paladin armor. Only problem is the way the mold extends. It does not allow it to seat properly on the rest of the figure, but an easy solution would be to add a thick fabric cape and this neck piece over it. Now, we can add the head and the helmet. This is a perfect combination. They even look like they were intended for each other. Normally, the Reinhardt helmet looks oversized on any other figure, but thanks to the shoulder armor, it looks nice and proportional, and of course, very epic. Next up, I built an Ice Mage. This figure is made mostly from Ninjago parts. I chose a dark aesthetic to make him appear more mysterious. I couldn't find a good head print for the face, so I left it blank for now. But I feel like it adds to the mystery of this character. I finally found the perfect legs to pair with this D&D torso. And now, by adding a cape and a crown, and make a pretty convincing king. I think this combination works great. He just needs a kingdom to rule and some soldiers to command. I wonder which castle faction would fit best for his design. But now, let's make an opposing faction using this copper crown. Combining this breastplate and these matching legs, we're able to create another king worthy of the crown. I'm a really big fan of this color scheme, and really liked how this character turned out. I can only imagine the cool lore that could be created between these two rulers. But that's not all. Using yet another D&D torso, we can assemble the king's right hand. I used Nick Fury's head with an eye patch, making him look super badass and intimidating. I gave him a copper-colored blade to keep him within the color scheme of the king. Honestly, I'm seriously considering creating a whole faction to go alongside these guys. Making a mix of knights, rogues, and archers would be really fun. I just need to come up with a name somehow. Let's construct a druid next. Rocket Raccoon's head piece is perfect to create a tiny critter armed with a slingshot. Definitely makes him look sneaky and mischievous. I found this useful torso in my collection that works great for the medieval setting. Let's add some matching arms and legs. As accessories, she'll wear a satchel and a lute. Now, we have a human bard that we can add to a D&D party. Using more Ninjago parts, I've also managed to make a Dragonborn Monk. I don't think the monk class in D&D typically uses weapons, but this warrior does not abide by the rules, and he's extra threatening for it. He's got 2 katanas that he can store on his back using this neat shoulder armor piece. I switched the horns on his head for white ones and used a torso and legs from Sensei Wu. But our fantasy universe also needs villains, so I've assembled an evil sorcerer and equipped him with staff of appropriate color, adorned with a bat. Parts for this figure pretty much come entirely from Jafar from Aladdin, and the head comes from the Monkey Kid series, which looks really cool when adorned with the black hood. He's a master of dark arts and a formidable opponent in the world of fantasy. Speaking of formidable opponents, I've also made an axe-wielding barbarian. I used this torso from the Prince of Persia theme, but unfortunately, it gets covered up by his giant beard. I used Boba Fett's face and gave him an epic mohawk, and the axe was built from some basic pieces. By searching for some matching short legs, we can easily turn this warrior into a dwarf barbarian. I personally go back and forth on whether to keep him as a dwarf, since the dual molded legs look way cooler and are more detailed, but the giant beard is definitely more suited for a dwarf. This next figure is an epic Angelic Ranger with electric powers. This character uses the torso from Taskmaster, which pair incredibly well with the Githyanki Warlock's legs from D&D. And because I decided to use Thor's face print, I gave him powerful electric powers, and why not some wings as well for extra flair. This character turned out pretty cool, and is quickly becoming one of my favorites. The more I look at it, you've reached the end of this video. I'd like to hear what kind of ideas you came up with using the latest CMF. Also, let me know if you would like to see more fantasy figures in the future. It's my favorite theme after all, so I have plenty more ideas. Anyway, bye for now.